In a distant world where humans and monsters coexisted, a great rivalry had festered for centuries. The humans, with their clever minds and ingenuity, had built sprawling cities, forged powerful weapons, and conquered the lands. The monsters, on the other hand, had always been creatures of myth and fear. Towering giants, swift shadow beasts, and fire-breathing dragons, each a creature of immense power. For years, the two sides had lived in uneasy peace, each respecting the other's territories. But as time passed, the balance began to shift. Resources became scarce, and the humans began to encroach upon the monsters' sacred lands, seeking new places to expand their cities. Tensions finally reached a breaking point when the Grand Council of Elders, humankind's highest authority, declared war on the monsters, hoping to take control of the ancient forests, mountains, and rivers that were rich in natural resources. The monsters, led by the colossal, wise creature known as Gorith the Earthshaker, retaliated, summoning their mightiest warriors to defend their lands. Yet, a wise elder among the monsters, knowing the futility of endless bloodshed, proposed a solution: a race. If the humans could defeat them in a race, they would leave the sacred lands and allow the humans to take what they desired. If the monsters won, the humans would be bound to stay off their territory forever. The announcement sent shockwaves through both sides. A race between the two? It was unheard of, but it would be the ultimate test of strength, speed, and endurance. The challenge was set. The race would span across the entire continent, through towering mountains, dense forests, treacherous rivers, and vast deserts. The path would be filled with dangers, from fierce beasts to natural obstacles, but whoever reached the finish line first would claim victory. On one side stood the humans, skilled, resourceful, and determined. Among them was Kale, the fastest and most agile runner in the land, known for his unparalleled endurance and strength. He had trained for this day, preparing himself for the impossible challenge ahead. On the other side were the monsters, fierce, powerful, and terrifying. Their champion was Zarin, a dragon whose wings could create storms and whose fire could melt stone. He was the embodiment of speed and power, with a body built for the harshest of terrains. As the race began, both sides charged forward with unparalleled ferocity. Kale darted through the dense forest, leaping over obstacles and using his quick reflexes to avoid the natural traps. Zarin, with his massive wings, soared above the trees, his flames lighting the path ahead. The race took them through the jagged mountains, where Kale used his climbing skills to scale cliffs, while Zarin effortlessly glided above the peaks, his eyes locked on the finish line. But the humans, though not as fast in raw speed, were cunning. They set traps for Zarin, using the environment to slow him down, cutting off his access to shortcuts and forcing him to navigate treacherous paths. The desert was the ultimate test of endurance. Both Kale and Zarin were exhausted, their bodies battered and drained. But Kale, fueled by his unwavering will, managed to push through. Zarin, powerful though he was, began to falter, his wings growing heavy with the weight of the endless sands. As they neared the final stretch, an enormous gorge that separated the last stretch of land from the finish line, the ground beneath them shook. It was Gorith, the Earthshaker, watching from a distance. He had a choice: to help his champion or let the race unfold as it was meant to. In a moment of clarity, Gorith decided to honor the terms of the race. Zarin, realizing that the race was more than just about power, slowed and allowed Kale to pass him. The monstrous dragon's wings fluttered, creating a powerful gust that pushed Kale forward, ensuring an honorable finish. In the end, Kale crossed the finish line first, but the victory was not just his. It was a victory for both sides, for the monsters had proven their respect for the humans, and the humans had shown that cleverness and endurance could sometimes surpass sheer strength. Gorith, though, did not demand vengeance or declare a new war. Instead, he extended his hand, or rather, his enormous claw, to Kale. "You have earned our respect," Gorith said. "Let this race mark the beginning of a new era, one where we may live in harmony." The humans and monsters, weary but proud, returned to their lands. From that day forward, the sacred territories were shared, and the race between mankind and the monsters became a symbol of their cooperation and unity. an everlasting reminder that strength was not always the path to victory, but wisdom and courage could overcome even the greatest of challenges. And so, the rivalry faded into legend, leaving only the story of the race that changed everything.